Maya Rodriguez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she balanced 3 plates of steaming breakfast on her arm. The morning rush at Bella Vista Diner was in full swing, and she was already running on fumes. Her daughter Sophia, just 4 years, old with bright, curious eyes and pigtails that bounced when she walked, sat quietly in the corner booth, coloring in a worn activity book. "I'm so sorry, Mrs. Henderson," Maya called out to the elderly woman at table 6. "Your pancakes will be right out." This wasn't how Maya had planned her Tuesday morning. Her babysitter had called in sick at the last minute, leaving Maya with no choice but to bring Sophia to work. Her boss, Tony, wasn't thrilled about it, but he knew Maya was one of his most reliable waitresses. She'd been working double shifts for months, trying to save enough money to move out of their cramped studio apartment. The bell above the diner door chimed, and Maya glanced up to see a man in an expensive charcoal suit enter. He looked completely out of place among the construction workers and retirees who usually frequented the diner. His dark hair was perfectly styled, and even from across the room, Maya could see the glint of an expensive watch on his wrist. "Table. For one?" Maya asked, approaching him with a coffee pot in hand. The man nodded, his piercing blue eyes meeting hers briefly before scanning the humble interior of the diner. "Actually, I'll take that booth in the back if it's available." Maya led him to a corner booth, 3 tables away from where Sophia sat. As she poured his coffee, she couldn't help but notice how his hands trembled slightly as he reached for his phone. Despite his polished appearance, there was something vulnerable about him. "I'll give you a minute to look at the menu, Mr. Blackwood." Ethan Blackwood. The name hit Maya like a thunderbolt. Even someone who lived paycheck to paycheck knew that name. Blackwood Industries was one of the largest tech companies in the country, and Ethan Blackwood was its reclusive CEO. Forbes had recently named him one of the youngest billionaires in America. Maya tried to keep her composure as she walked away, but her mind was racing. What was Ethan Blackwood doing in a run-down diner on the wrong side of town? 20 minutes later, as Maya refilled his coffee for the 3rd time, she noticed Ethan hadn't touched his food. He sat staring out the window, his jaw clenched tight. His phone buzzed constantly, but he ignored every call. "Is everything all right with your breakfast?" Maya asked gently. Ethan looked up, and for a moment, his carefully constructed mask slipped. Maya saw pain in his eyes, raw, overwhelming pain that seemed to mirror her own struggles. "It's fine," he said quietly. "Just, sometimes you need to escape to somewhere real, you know?" Before Maya could respond, disaster struck. Sophia had grown restless in her booth and decided to explore. In her eagerness to show her mommy a new drawing, she jumped down from her seat and ran across the diner straight toward Ethan's table. "Mommy, look what I—" Sophia stopped mid-sentence when she saw Ethan. Her eyes widened, and she tilted her head, studying his face with the intensity only a child could manage. Maya rushed over, her face burning with embarrassment. "Sophia, honey, come back to your seat. I'm so sorry, Mr. Blackwood. She's usually very well behaved." But Sophia didn't move. Instead, she took a step closer to Ethan, her small hand reaching out to touch the expensive fabric of his suit jacket. "You look sad," Sophia said simply. "Like my mommy when she thinks I'm not looking." Ethan's breath caught in his throat. Something about this little girl's innocent observation cracked something inside him. He found himself leaning down to her level. "What's your name, sweetheart?" he asked, his voice softer than Maya had heard it all morning. "Sophia Elena Rodriguez," she announced proudly. "I'm 4¾ years old and I can write my whole name." "That's very impressive, Sophia. What happened next would change everything." Sophia, with the fearless honesty of childhood, wrapped her tiny arms around Ethan's neck in a spontaneous hug. And then, in a voice that carried across the suddenly silent diner, she said the words that would shatter both Maya and Ethan's carefully ordered worlds. "I wish you were my daddy." The coffee pot slipped from Maya's hands, crashing to the floor in a spray of ceramic and hot liquid. Every conversation in the diner stopped. Ethan sat frozen, this small child still clinging to him, and Maya felt her heart breaking all over again. Because Sophia's words had awakened something Maya had buried deep. The truth about Sophia's father. And why she'd been running from her past for 4 long years. The truth that was about to catch up with her in the most unexpected way possible. Ethan gently disentangled himself from Sophia's embrace, his hands shaking as he looked up at Maya. The pain in his eyes had transformed into something else, confusion, recognition, and a dawning horror that made Maya's blood run cold. Maya? His voice was barely a whisper. Maya Elena Santos? The name she'd abandoned 4 years ago hung in the air like a guillotine blade. Maya's knees nearly buckled. She grabbed the back of a chair to steady herself, her world tilting on its axis. You two know each other? Sophia asked innocently, looking between the adults whose faces had gone pale as ghosts. Sophia, go sit in our booth. Now, Maya commanded, her voice sharp with panic. Her daughter, sensing the sudden tension, obeyed without question. The diner had erupted in whispers. Tony emerged from the kitchen, concern creasing his weathered face. Everything okay out here, Maya? We need to talk, Ethan said, standing. Abruptly, his composure was cracking, years of careful control unraveling. Privately, Maya shook her head vigorously. I can't leave Sophia. I won't leave her. Then bring her. Ethan's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. My car is outside. I'm working. Tony, Ethan called out, his commanding presence filling the small diner. I'm borrowing your waitress for an hour. This should cover any lost wages. He pulled out his wallet and placed several $100 bills on the counter. Tony's eyes widened, but he nodded quickly. Take all the time you need, Maya. Maya felt trapped, cornered by fate, and a past she'd spent years trying to escape. With trembling hands, she gathered Sophia's coloring books and followed Ethan out to his sleek black Tesla. Sophia was enchanted by the luxury car, running her small hands over the leather seats. Wow, this is like a spaceship! But Maya couldn't appreciate her daughter's wonder. Her heart was hammering so hard she thought it might burst. As Ethan drove them to a nearby park, the silence was suffocating. He parked beneath a canopy of oak trees, and they let Sophia run to the playground while they sat on a bench, the weight of unspoken truths between them. 4 years, Ethan said, finally. 4 years I searched for you, hired private investigators, checked hospitals, morgues, homeless shelters. I thought you were dead, Maya. I thought I'd killed you. Maya wrapped her arms around herself, shivering despite the warm spring air. I had to disappear. You know why. Do I? His laugh was bitter, broken. Because all I remember is waking up in that hospital bed and you were gone, vanished like smoke. No note, no explanation, just an empty chair where you'd been sitting for 3 days straight. Ethan. And now I find out I have a daughter. His voice cracked on the last word. A daughter who's been alive for 4 years, and I never knew she existed. Sophia's laughter carried across the playground as she made friends with another child. She was so full of life, so beautiful, and Maya could see Ethan drinking in every detail of her, the way she threw her head back when she laughed, the determined set of her jaw when she climbed the monkey bars. She has your eyes, Maya whispered, and your spirit. Ethan turned to face her fully. Why didn't you tell me? Even if you hated me, even if you blamed me for the accident, how could you keep her from me? The accident. The words hung between them like a sword. That terrible night that had changed everything. The night Maya discovered she was pregnant. The same night Ethan's reckless driving had nearly killed them both. I was 18 years old, Ethan. Pregnant and terrified. And you, Maya's voice broke. You were more concerned about your reputation, your father's company, than about us. That night, When you were speeding because you were angry about your father's ultimatum, I realized I meant nothing to you. That's not true, isn't it? Maya's eyes flashed with old hurt. You chose your inheritance over our relationship. Your father said it was me or the company, and you couldn't even give me an answer. Ethan ran his hands through his hair, frustration and anguish warring in his expression. I was 22, Maya. I was scared too. I'd never defied my father, never stood up to him, but I was going to. That's what I was coming to tell you that night. I'd decided to choose you. Choose us. Maya stared at him, the ground shifting beneath her feet. What? I was going to tell him to hell with the money, to hell with Blackwood Industries. I'd make my own way if it meant being with you. Ethan's voice was raw with emotion. But then the accident happened, and when I woke up, you were gone. Sophia came running over, her cheeks flushed from playing. Mommy, can we get ice cream, please? Maya looked at her daughter, their daughter, and saw Ethan's stubborn chin, his intelligence in her bright eyes, his compassion in her gentle heart. The truth she'd hidden for 4 years was unraveling, and there was no stopping it now. Sophia, Maya said carefully, This is a very special person. His name is Ethan. Sophia beamed up at him. Hi, Ethan. Do you want to be friends? Ethan's breath hitched. I'd like that very much. But Maya saw the storm brewing in his eyes. The questions, the accusations, the grief for 4 lost years. She'd kept his daughter from him, and now he knew. The man, who'd once chosen his family's approval over their love, now held all the cards. And Maya was terrified of what he would do with that power. 3 days passed before Maya heard from Ethan again. 3 days of sleepless nights, wondering if he would show up with lawyers, if he would try to take Sophia away from her. She'd built a life from nothing, working double shifts and sacrificing everything for her daughter. The thought of losing Sophia was more terrifying than any poverty she'd endured. When Ethan finally appeared at the diner, it was during the quiet afternoon lull. Sophia was at preschool, giving them privacy Maya wasn't sure she wanted. He looked different, haggard, as if he hadn't slept either. His usually perfect appearance was rumpled, his expensive suit wrinkled. He slid into the same booth where this had all started, and Maya reluctantly approached with a coffee pot. We need to discuss arrangements, he said without preamble, his voice cold and businesslike. Maya's heart sank. Arrangements? For Sophia. My daughter. The possessive way. He said it made Maya's blood freeze. I've spoken with my lawyers. I have rights, Maya. Rights you denied me for 4 years. Ethan, please. Did you know I attended grief counseling? His blue eyes were like ice. For 2 years, I mourned a child I thought had died with you in that accident. I mourned a family I believed I'd destroyed with my recklessness. Maya set down the coffee pot with shaking hands. I was protecting her. From what? From having a father who loved her? From financial security? From the best schools, the best opportunities? Ethan's voice rose and other patrons glanced their way. Or were you protecting yourself from having to share her? The accusation hit like a physical blow. That's not fair. Fair? Ethan laughed bitterly. What's fair about a man finding out he has a 4-year-old daughter by accident? What's fair about missing her first words, her first steps, her first day of school? Maya sank into the booth across from him, tears threatening. You have no idea what it was like. I was 18, pregnant, and alone. Your father made it very clear what he thought of me. A gold-digging waitress who was trying to trap his son. My father's been dead for 2 years, Maya. The words hung between them like a revelation. Maya stared at him, processing this information. Heart attack, Ethan continued, his voice softening slightly. All those years I spent trying to prove myself to him, trying to earn his approval while building Blackwood Industries into something. bigger than he ever imagined, and in the end, he was just gone. "I'm sorry," Maya whispered, and she meant it. Despite everything, she remembered how much Ethan had craved his father's approval, how it had driven him to impossible standards. "The company is mine now. All of it. The money, the power, everything I thought I wanted." Ethan's smile was hollow. "But I'd trade it all for those 4 years with Sophia." Before Maya could respond, the diner bell chimed. Sophia burst through the door, her backpack bouncing as she ran to Maya. "Mommy! We learned about butterflies today, and Miss Jenny said—" Sophia stopped when she saw Ethan, her face lighting up with joy. "Ethan, you came back!" Without hesitation, she climbed into the booth beside him, chattering about her day. Maya watched, in amazement as Ethan's cold facade melted away, replaced by wonder and tenderness as he listened to every word Sophia said. "And this is my picture," Sophia announced, pulling a crayon drawing from her backpack. "It's our family. That's me. That's Mommy. And—" She looked up at Ethan hopefully. "Maybe you could be in our family too?" Maya's breath caught. The innocence of the request, the hope in her daughter's eyes, the way Ethan's hands trembled as he accepted the drawing. It was too much. "Sophia, sweetie, why don't you go wash your hands while Mommy and Ethan talk?" After Sophia skipped away, Ethan stared at the drawing. 3 stick figures holding hands under a rainbow. "She drew me into her family," he said quietly. "A man she's met twice." "She's always wondered about her father," Maya admitted. "I told her he was far away, that he couldn't be with us, but that he loved her." At least that part was true. Ethan looked up, and Maya saw her own pain reflected in his eyes. "I can't just walk away now, Maya. I won't. But I also won't destroy the life you've built for her." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we need to find a way to do this together. For Sophia." He paused, studying Maya's face. "I'm also saying that seeing you again, seeing our daughter, it's brought back feelings I thought I'd buried." Maya's heart stuttered. "Ethan, I know you probably hate me. I know I hurt you, made choices that drove you away. But Maya, what we had, it wasn't just young love. It was real, and Sophia proves that." Before Maya could respond, Sophia returned, sliding back into the booth with the unconscious ease of a child who'd decided this man belonged in her life. "Are you going to marry my mommy?" Sophia asked with characteristic bluntness. Both adults froze. Maya felt heat flood her cheeks while Ethan looked stunned. "Sophia!" Maya gasped. "What?" "Tommy's mommy married his daddy, and now they live in a big house with a swimming pool." Sophia looked between them hopefully. "Do you have a swimming pool, Ethan?" Despite everything, Ethan laughed, the first genuine laugh Maya had heard from him. "I do, actually, a very big one. See, Mommy? We should definitely marry him." Maya covered her face with her hands, mortified and overwhelmed. But through her fingers, she heard Ethan's gentle voice. "Sophia, relationships are complicated. Your mommy and I, we have a lot to figure out first. But you like each other, right?" Sophia persisted. Maya looked up to find Ethan watching her intently, and she saw the question in his eyes wasn't just for Sophia's benefit. "It's complicated, baby," Maya whispered, but as she looked at her daughter's hopeful face, at the man who'd once owned her heart completely, Maya realized that maybe some complications were worth fighting through. The question was, could she trust him not to break their hearts again? 2 weeks later, Maya found herself standing in front of a mansion that looked like something from a fairy tale. Ethan had invited them for dinner, Sophia's first visit to her father's home. The little girl pressed her face against the car window, eyes wide with wonder. "Mommy, it's like a castle!" Maya's stomach churned with anxiety. This opulent world was so far from their simple life that it felt like another planet. What if Sophia preferred this? What if she wanted to stay here, in this perfect house, with her billionaire father? Ethan met them at the door, and Maya's breath caught. Gone was the distant businessman from the diner. He wore jeans and a simple sweater, looking more like the young man she'd fallen in love with years ago. But it was his smile that undid her. Nervous, hopeful, and completely focused on Sophia. "Welcome home," he said softly, and Maya wondered if he meant the words for both of them. The house was magnificent, but surprisingly warm. Sophia ran from room to room, marveling at everything, while Ethan followed, answering her endless questions with patience and delight. Maya trailed behind, feeling like an outsider in this perfect scene. Dinner was a revelation. Ethan had ordered pizza, Sophia's favorite, and they ate in the kitchen rather than the formal dining room. He'd even bought coloring books and crayons, setting up a little art station just for Sophia. "You didn't have to do all this," Maya said as Sophia colored contentedly nearby. "I wanted to," Ethan replied. "I've missed so much already. I don't want to waste any more time." After dinner, Sophia fell asleep on the living room couch, exhausted from exploration. Ethan gently covered her with a blanket, his expression so tender it made Maya's chest ache. "She's perfect," he whispered. "She is," Maya agreed. "Even when she's throwing tantrums or refusing to eat her vegetables," Ethan smiled. "I want to know about all of it. The tantrums, the vegetables, the bedtime stories. I want to be part of her life, Maya. Really part of it." They settled onto the opposite couch, the sleeping child between them like a bridge. The house was quiet except for Sophia's soft breathing. "I've been thinking," Ethan said carefully, "about what Sophia said at the diner, about being a family." Maya's heart raced. "Ethan, hear me out." He leaned forward, his expression intense. "I know I hurt you. I know I made choices that cost us everything. But Maya, I never stopped loving you. Not even when I thought you were dead." The words hit her like a physical force. Maya closed her eyes, remembering the boy who'd once promised her the world, who'd made her believe in fairy tales. "Love wasn't enough before," she whispered. "You chose your father's approval over us. I was young and stupid and terrified of disappointing him." Ethan's voice was raw. "But Maya, I'm not that scared boy anymore. I built an empire, but it means nothing without you and Sophia in it. You can't just expect me to forget 4 years of struggle, of raising her alone. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking you to forgive." He reached across the space between them, his fingers barely touching hers. "I'm asking for a chance to prove that I've changed, that I can be the man you and Sophia deserve." Maya looked at their joined hands, then at her sleeping daughter. Sophia had been asking about her father since she could talk, spinning elaborate fantasies about where he was and why he couldn't come home. Now he was here, offering everything Maya had once dreamed of. "What exactly are you proposing?" she asked, quietly. Ethan's thumb stroked over her knuckles. "Move in with me, you and Sophia. Let me take care of you both. Let me be a real father to her, and—" He paused, vulnerability flickering in his eyes. "Let me try to win back your heart. Ethan, I work at a diner. I barely finished high school because I was raising Sophia. I don't belong in your world." "My world is empty without you in it," he said simply. "And Maya, you're brilliant. You managed to raise an incredible child on your own, worked multiple jobs, kept us both alive and happy. You think that's not impressive? You think my Harvard MBA prepared me better for real life than what you've accomplished?" Before Maya could respond, Sophia stirred on the couch, opening sleepy eyes. "Are we having a sleepover?" she asked hopefully. Ethan and Maya exchanged a look. The question hung in the air like a promise. "What do you think, Mommy?" Sophia continued. "Can we stay in Ethan's castle?" Maya looked at her daughter's hopeful face, at Ethan's careful expression, at the life he was offering them. A life without financial worry, where Sophia could have everything Maya had dreamed of giving her. But more than that, a chance for Sophia to have the father she'd always wanted. And for Maya, if we did this, Maya said slowly, it would be a trial. To see. If we could make it work as a family, Ethan's face lit up with hope. Whatever you need. Whatever timeline you're comfortable with. Sophia clapped her hands excitedly. Does this mean Ethan is going to be my daddy for real? Maya felt tears prick her eyes as she looked at this man who'd once broken her heart, but was now offering to heal it. Would you like that, baby? More than anything, Sophia breathed, then launched herself at Ethan in a fierce hug. I love you, Daddy. Over Sophia's head, Ethan's eyes found Maya's, and she saw her own tears reflected there. Maybe some fairy tales were worth believing in after all. 6 months later, Maya stood in the kitchen of what had become their home, watching through the window as Ethan pushed Sophia on the swing set he'd built in the backyard. Her daughter's laughter rang out across the manicured lawn, pure and joyful. It hadn't been easy. There had been adjustments, arguments, and moments when Maya wondered if they were moving too fast. But there had also been bedtime stories read in Ethan's deep voice, family movie nights, and quiet mornings when Maya woke to find Sophia curled between them, having snuck into their bed during the night. Their bed. When had she started thinking of it that way? The back door opened, and Sophia raced in with grass stains on her dress and dirt under her fingernails, looking perfectly happy. Mommy, Daddy says we can have a tea party later. Will you make cookies? Daddy, is it? Maya raised an eyebrow, though she was smiling. He said I could call him that if I wanted to, Sophia said matter-of-factly. And I do want to. He's the best daddy ever. Ethan appeared in the doorway, his hair mussed from playing outside. Maya's heart did that little flutter it always did. When she saw him like this, relaxed, happy, completely devoted to their daughter, someone needs a bath before any tea parties, he said, scooping Sophia up. Come on, princess, let's get you cleaned up. As they headed upstairs, Maya heard Sophia chattering about her day at school, and Ethan responding with genuine interest to every detail. He'd kept his promise to be present, to be the father Sophia deserved. But it was more than that. He'd also kept his promise to win back Maya's heart, though she suspected it had never really left him in the first place. 20 minutes later, a clean Sophia was setting up her tea set in the living room, while Ethan helped Maya with the cookies in the kitchen. You know, he said, sliding his arms around her waist from behind, I never thought I could be this happy. Maya leaned back against his chest, breathing in his familiar scent. Even with all the chaos? The 6 a.m. wake-up calls? The princess movies on repeat? Especially with all of that, he murmured against her hair. Though I have to admit, I know way too much about animated princesses now. Maya laughed, turning in his arms. Any regrets? Only one, Ethan said, his expression growing serious. That I missed the first 4 years of her life. That I let fear and pride keep me from fighting for what mattered most. We can't change the past, Maya said softly, reaching up to touch his face. But we can make the future better. Marry me, he said suddenly, the words tumbling out like they'd been waiting months to escape. I know we're taking things slow, I know you want to be sure, but Maya, I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Marry me. Let me be your husband and Sophia's father officially. Maya's breath caught. She'd been expecting this conversation, but it still sent her heart racing. Ethan, I love you, he rushed on. I love the way you hum while you cook, the way you read Sophia 3 bedtime stories even when you're exhausted, the way you've made this house feel like a real home. I love your strength, your kindness, your stubborn independence that drives me crazy sometimes. You drive me crazy too, Maya whispered, tears blurring her vision. Is that a yes? Before Maya could answer, Sophia appeared in the kitchen doorway, her tea set forgotten. Are you asking Mommy to marry you? She demanded, hands on her tiny hips. Ethan looked startled, then sheepish. I was trying to. Well, you're doing it wrong, Sophia declared. You need a ring, and you should get down on one knee. That's how Prince Eric did it in The Little Mermaid. Maya burst into laughter as Ethan's face turned red. She has a point. To her amazement, Ethan actually dropped to one knee right there in the kitchen. From his pocket, he pulled out a small velvet box that made Maya's heart stop. Maya Elena. Santos Rodriguez, he said solemnly, while Sophia bounced excitedly beside them. Will you marry me? Will you let me love you and Sophia for the rest of my life? Maya looked at the ring. A simple, elegant solitaire that was somehow exactly what she would have chosen. Then at Sophia's beaming face, then at Ethan's hopeful eyes. Yes, she whispered. Then louder. Yes! As Ethan slipped the ring onto her finger, Sophia cheered and threw herself into their group hug. Now we're really a family, she announced. Can we have the wedding at our house, and can I wear a princess dress, and can we have chocolate cake? Whatever you want, princess, Ethan said, kissing the top of her head before turning to Maya. Whatever you both want. As Maya looked at her daughter's joy, at the ring on her finger, at the man who'd found his way back to them through fate and a child's innocent hug, she realized that sometimes the best love stories weren't the ones that ran smoothly from beginning to end. Sometimes they were the ones that survived heartbreak, separation, and years of longing to find their way back to each other. Sometimes they were the ones worth fighting for, and sometimes they began with a little girl running to a stranger in a diner and calling him Daddy, as if her heart recognized what her mind couldn't yet understand. That some people are meant to be family, no matter how long it takes them to find each other.